welcome to the PrepTalk podcast. This is the second part of the podcast with Anirudh Krishna. In this episode, we look into the process of college applications and what is life like in a college. So let's begin with our first question.
So now, let's talk about the application process. So how was it difficult getting into a desired college, and how was the entire process? If you could, walk us through the entire thing.
Yeah, let's start with the basics, of
Sure.
course. We're talking about US colleges specifically, I assume. So they look at your essays and your extracurricular activities, which are also highlighted in the essays, and your scores, which can be your standardized testing or school. And I have always scored well in school, so that wasn't a problem. And I think they do give a good importance to school scores. So if you're still in 10th grade, do your best to try bringing those as high as possible. And the reason I think the most importance goes to school scores is the second someone looks at a good school score, your brain is wired in a specific way. And even if your extracurriculars aren't as good, the person who's reading it assumes they're better than they actually are because you have a good school score. So you look at that 95% and they'll say, oh, good student. He must have done good things, or she must have done good things. So school score is very important, which I did correctly. And standardized testing, I'm not going to speak about it as much because it was optional for us.
True.
So I'm sure it was very important before COVID, but then subjective. Some colleges thought it was important, some colleges didn't think it was important. And thirdly, extracurriculars. To get into a top 30 college, I think the main thing is to show the college that you've put in a good amount of effort outside school to learn something. That's all that's needed. And there are colleges like MIT and all, which require gold medals in Olympiads and all, and that's it's difficult. But again, if you're skilled enough, if you develop your skills, then that's also possible.
It is quite possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, talking about you were from ISC board, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to understand that a couple of times we've heard this thing that Indian based knowledge is very theoretical as compared to the studies that happen outside. They're more practical based. So is Indian course and academics considered more higher in level when US college look into Indian students?
Not fully speaking from the college admissions office point of view, I think they do prefer IB over ISC
Of
and
course.
CBSE because they know the curriculum. And I do think, I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone in IB, ISC or CBSE, but I do think ISC and CBSE, even though it's more theoretical, I think the average student would end up more, I don't want to use the word smart, but more successful than an IB student if we base it off on skills.
Okay.
Because it's very intensive. Over there, it's application based,
Yeah.
but over here, you learn how to slog. You learn how to study long hours. You learn how to do things you don't like. Like maybe I personally didn't like geography or history, but till 10th grade, I had to do tons of it.
Right.
And 24 chapters for an exam. And that builds kind of a resilience because you don't like it, but you're doing it for hours consecutively for an exam. And I think that's why we have an advantage, we being the ISC and CBSE. But definitely IB approach is also very good and it's application based, and you get an earlier understanding of how the world works because the
Right.
world is application based. So it's a different approach. Both are very good. And in the first year of college, I think the IB students do have an advantage because the ISC and CBSE students take
Are still
time
figuring out.
to adapt.
Right. So, how many colleges did you apply for?
I applied to a lot. I applied
Okay.
to about 17 US colleges.
My God. And just US, you apply to other countries as well?
No, in fact, around 14 to 13 US colleges, and I applied to UK too.
Okay.
And
did UCLA was your first choice, like your desired college?
out of the
Lot.
colleges I got or the colleges I applied to?
You can answer both, one by
Okay.
one.
The colleges I applied to, no, it wasn't. I think I had very, very high aspirations, and my top choice was MIT, which was a crazy aspiration to have. And I knew I would not get it, but I still
But you were
aimed
to
for
try.
it. And I tried to apply through the tennis route too, and I got in touch with the MIT tennis coach. And in fact, we also had a good relationship, and we had a somewhat of a deal going through, but then surprisingly my academic side fell off, which is why they rejected. But I applied to almost all Ivies, all Ivies I think, and
Seven.
a lot
Seven
of
or eight.
a lot of good colleges, including the UC Berkeley and UCLA. And yes, I had an ambitious list, but the reason I had this ambitious list was because before applying, I already had an offer from UK colleges. So in case I didn't get into any US college, then I always had UK to back on. So I had an offer from UCL and Imperial College. So it was okay for me.
Cool. So out of the college that you got into in
Yeah.
US, was UCLA your preference? I mean, of course, it would have been your preference. That is why you went
Yes.
there.
Actually, good question. Good question, because another memory has been unlocked now.
Oh, so
Nostalgia.
you're getting into nostalgia.
Yeah. UCLA was not my first choice. Imperial College was.
Okay.
And then sadly I could not go because ironically my math not predicted, but in my year we didn't get to give boards. They just gave us scores based on the past. And I got a score of 96 in math, which was sadly not enough for Imperial because the condition was 97 for most subjects. And that was very disappointing because math is my major now. And I was very surprised because my school scores were better, and I didn't know why I got a low score. So Imperial's offer went away. And I'm happy I came to UCLA.
So, see, there's a difference in UK, how UK analyzes a student. They are very academic based.
Yeah.
They do not consider extracurriculars that much. They are more focused into academics. They're very much focused into academics. Whereas US looks at the student in a overall kind of thing, in a
Definitely.
holistic thing. So they do consider if you've worked internships, or if you've worked outside, and you've, like you said, worked on your skill set and your extracurriculars, and of course your academics and your standardized testing. So that is why maybe you left out there, but I think you're at a nice place. So okay, so moving on, let's talk about UCLA and your college life. How is
Yeah.
it going, and how is UCLA working out for you?
It's surprisingly large, and I'm not talking about the campus size, but the number of people. There are 50,000 people, which is
My God.
a crazy amount. And I personally like the size because you can make friends unrelated to your circle, which is very
Diverse.
nice. You don't need to be constricted to the specific group of people. And
Right.
if you want time away from someone, I'm going to go and meet someone from film class in post-grad.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very good from that point of view. And surprisingly, the professors and the teaching assistants do reply to all of your mails.
That's nice.
Most of your mails. Like even if you mail them for research work, they'll give you the courtesy to reply saying no rather than ignore, which I didn't expect. So one downside which I hear about public universities is that it's difficult to interact with the professor, or it's difficult to get opportunities because it's very large. And I don't think it's as true. I think it's been exaggerated by people. It is true, a little, but it's been exaggerated by people. And if you work decently hard enough, I think the opportunity is going to come.
Yeah.
So UCLA is working out well.
That's good to hear. So, how overwhelming is it to leave your own country, your parents, the environment that you've grown up in, and to an entirely new country where you don't know anything about? You have a diverse list of people, as you mentioned, 50,000 people is a lot. So, how is it, and was it overwhelming? And did you grow into the the environment, or are you still struggling with it?
It absolutely depends on the person, and personally I did not find it overwhelming.
Okay, that's good.
I found it exciting
Mm-hmm.
taking a first plane abroad and setting up your own room and living alone. I think it's a very good experience, and I didn't find it stressful, but everyone's different, so many people would have found it stressful.
I know I would have. It really very overwhelming for me because I am set in my ways, but I see that you're not. So you are open to, adventure, as I would call it.
Yeah, somewhat.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
So
And
that's good.
yeah, I'm happy, but I am still settling. And I am still understanding how everything works. And even now I'll be making dumb mistakes like not putting a laundry pod inside the washing machine and washing it without the laundry pod detergent. So still adapting, but it's not stressful. Like it's okay, it's fun.
That's good. That's good. So, in what ways you think your life has changed going to UCLA than what it was in India? I see that laundry is a problem for you.
Yes, laundry. Yeah, laundry is a problem. I don't do it very often. I have many clothes. Surprisingly a lot. I thought everyone takes those many clothes, but turns out it was only me. I
Okay.
have so many clothes, so I do laundry less. And when I do it, I have to take 3 rounds to the laundry machine,
My God.
and then each time get some clothes and put them. It's not a fun process, but it's okay. And I think it's all about independence, and that can be the daily tasks, and that can be financial. Now I have to make a financial plan as to how much I want to spend a week or a month, and or even earn. Like there are many opportunities to earn when you go to college in US. That can be a part-time job, or it can be freelance earning. Just check up on the legality of freelance earning. I'm not sure. I
Okay.
don't want to recommend that without actually.
Sure. So, we'll go with the part time then.
Yeah, at least part-time.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to balance how much you earn and how much of that you want to spend. And I think that's pretty good. In India, it's not as much.
No, I don't think you see any student working in
Yeah.
any of the cafes. You don't. And that's pretty common in US and, places like that. So, you grew up very fast when you are not in your comfort zone with your family and you have to do everything yourself. So, I think, which is a very good thing, and for some, it might not be a good thing. So, let's go to our next question. Do you get homesick? I don't think you do unless you want to do laundry.
Homesick's not the word. I don't. It's not very intense, but I do like food at home. Because Indian food's very good.
Butter chicken.
Yeah, but just saying you do get good Indian food in US. It's a.
But that's you
it's
cannot
a myth
compare
that it's
it
not
with
good
Indian.
enough. I think it's actually good.
You cannot compare that with India's butter chicken.
The only difference is the spice. However,
Of
it's very
course.
good. It's in
Okay.
fact.
You have developed the taste, so I would not argue on that point.
Yeah.
So you get homesick in a marginal amount when you miss food.
Yeah, the food or playing tennis in my home tennis courts, or it's good having a room to yourself. Like we have to, at least in UCLA, have roommates, and if you choose a single room, you don't get AC. That's the trade-off. And
Oh.
So I chose roommates. But yeah, it's good to have a room to your own, which I have at home. So marginally.
So while you're here, you can enjoy your room to yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So talking about your extracurriculars, what all did you do?
I tried doing a few Olympiads and a few exams outside. Some were successful, some failed. But yeah, some were successful, those are important.
Of course.
And
Care to mention them?
yeah, the successful ones, I did a Thailand International Math Olympiad
Nice.
and I got a silver medal.
Oh, amazing.
And I got a distinction in Sir Isaac Newton examination. And there was another competition which is the Khan Academy Breakthrough Challenge, which is very, very fun.
Okay.
We make a video, a 3-minute long video. I don't know how long it is right now, the guidelines, but we make a video about a scientific topic, explaining it. And the winner of the competition gets $250,000.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's crazy difficult to win it. It's crazy difficult. It's not.
Did you win it?
I absolutely did not.
Okay.
Yeah,
But at least you tried.
Yeah, I think I got top 5%, top 3% or something in the
That's
world.
nice.
But so many people participate in it. And it's a very good
Of course.
thing to have because you can, if you put an effort in it, it's always something you can show people. Like,
Right.
I made this video, I did the graphics for it or everything, and it's a good project, even if you don't win it. So that's a very nice thing I had. And I had an internship with Celco, which is a solar power company which tries to increase sustainability. It has a non-profit and a profit branch. And I worked in the team which designs an electric vehicle charging station.
Oh, nice.
And I did that for a year, so that was long.
That's not an internship. Internships over
Yeah.
2-3 months. That's you were practically doing a job.
Yeah, practically part-time.
Yeah.
Part-time job. But we started and then we just decided to continue because it was going well.
Going
It
well.
was fun. So that went on for long. And what else did I do? I had tennis, of course. I played national level tennis.
Oh, nice.
And I attained a rank and a few competitions outside India too. And not much more. It's
You was not much more. This is like a lot.
Thank you.
Even like you mentioned that you started late, but then you did commendable.
Thank you.
That
It
was
was
a
a
lot.
slog. It was
Yeah.
a lot of effort.
ISC logged you right.
Yeah.
So, tell us some hardships. Like I see that you're a total fan of studying abroad, but there must have been hardships. What
Yes.
were they, and how are you overcoming them?
Yeah, there are. Definitely. Jobs. If you're a science student, many of you would want jobs right after college in US, but it's not very easy. That's the issue, and it's much easier for US citizens. And only I'm not so sure how easy or how difficult it is because I've not gone through the process. But the impression which is in my head right now says that I need to do very, very well to get a good job. And that is a motivator, definitely. So I am competing with the other international students, healthy competition. And so getting a job is not very easy. So that's a difficulty. And as I said before, adapting the first year to US is also pretty important. It depends on the person you are. If you can adapt in a second, wonderful. If you can't, then take it easy, take it slow. And at least speaking from an ISC and CBSE point of view, not speaking from an IB point of view, we never had to write papers. So if you were doing a history or an economics major, not even economics, it's more math-based economics in UCLA, but if a social science major, you will have to write a lot of papers, and we're not used to, at least in ISC. It's just projects which we had to write before, which were not like papers. So that we need time to get used to.
Okay. So our last question is, what are the benefits of studying abroad? And I know you'll have a lot, a list ready. So please bring it on.
Okay, let me say this. Studying abroad is like an investment.
Of course.
You would invest a good amount of money in it, and if you put in the correct effort, the rewards are even better. Because let me tell you this: if you're in a specific field and you're doing very well in it, the amount you spend on college can be earned back in 2 years right out of college.
Absolutely.
You get salaries of 160,000 per year if you do well. Only if you do well. Doing well is the key.
Yeah, of course.
So that's why I said it's an investment. If you do well, it's very good. But if you don't do well, then it's not as good. So if you want to go abroad, I think you should have confidence in doing well.
Right.
So that is both a positive point and a negative point. But I think if you've decided to go to US, I think you would definitely be competent. If even making the decision to go to US in 11th grade or earlier is a very big one. And I think people would be good enough if they make that. And the other good things would be the network you develop. US is based on a network system where people really love it if you're from something they're from. So if you go to a university, let's say Rice University, and you're applying for a job and the recruiter is from Rice University, you have a very good chance of getting it because people in US value that a lot. So if you make connections in such ways, then US is a very good place to be because it helps you meet more people, it helps you succeed in a professional way, and it helps you develop your social and professional skills. But it's also about the type of person you are. If you're a very reserved person who is very focused on academics, as you said, UK is a better place to be.
Right.
And yeah, it depends on the person.
Right. So did you feel like an outsider coming from India to an entire new country? Or is it a really common culture over there?
I didn't feel like an outsider in UCLA. Maybe because 120 Indians come every year. So more than 120, like 150 come every year. So you go and you see 10 Indians every day at least.
That's
Not 10 Indians, 20 Indians every day at least. So it feels a decent amount like India. But in the smaller universities, it's very different. Like a Claremont McKenna would have 2 Indians. And I can't speak for them. So for UCLA, I think it was pretty home-like.
Yeah, that's nice. That's sweet.
Yeah.
And UCLA should listen to this. Okay. So I think with this we come to an end of this podcast. Thank you so much, Anirudh, for being a sport and being here. I think the podcast was very insightful and very long. I hope people hear this out. I think it's very helpful for students who are, planning to go abroad and study.
Yeah, thank you. Like I discovered a lot about myself in the podcast, unlocked memories.
Went into nostalgia.
Yes, it was very fun to do this.
I'm glad you liked it. So, to all the listeners, we hope today's podcast was helpful for you. We'll see you in the next segment. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.